Well, hello everybody. I thought I'd do this little job today, even though it is still very hot here, about 38 degrees today and pretty warm in the shed. I don't know whether you can see the sweat glistening on my brow. I thought I'd put on this little scuttle seal today. There's quite a lot of talk about how difficult these are to do. I have to confess that I've already done the other side. So, and it really wasn't too hard, it's just a little fiddly. So this is fitted onto the scuttle here. I'm not sure whether you can see those holes or not, but I'm sure you're probably familiar with them anyway. But there are 3 holes here and 2 holes here in the mudguard, and the scuttle seal runs around there like that. And of course, I've made it a little bit harder for myself because I've fitted the doors. It would be much easier to do without the doors. Now the first thing you'll notice when you get these is that they're too long. There is a flap there, I'm probably not demonstrating this very well, but there is a flap there that hangs over the scuttle. Now you'll notice I've taken off the padded dash, which is only held on by about 3 screws at the moment, so that's not a problem, because this has to go underneath the padded dash. The other thing is that they're quite a bit longer on both ends than they need to be. Some people just snip them off, but then that leaves this sort of open bit here which is a little bit unsightly. So the idea is that when these are fitted in place, you trim this up and then you leave yourself a flap that you can fold around like that and fix with a screw, and then it's all neatened up and covered with the padded dash. So these are held in place. I'm not sure whether you can see this or not. This is time again when I really need a camera assistant, but these are held in place by these little brass split rivets, or bifurcated rivets as we might call them, and they go in from the underside and then they fold over the top behind part of the rubber. Now they're supposed to have a washer on the bottom and the top. These are quite a large base, as you can see, so I'm not going to use a washer. They're probably about 3/8 of an inch in diameter, and I think they're big enough. So while I won't be able to film the whole process, the first thing I have to do is to fit the rubber seal on and mark the positions of the holes, and I've got a little sharp punch that I'll use to do that, and then I'll punch out those holes and put the rivets in place. And I'm not going to do any trimming until I've done that. Alright, so I've made a couple of cuts here. This section here I've cut so that it fits above this hinge area here, because originally it went below that. And this front section here I've trimmed up, basically cut out the inside of it, so that I can then fold that around and fix that on, and you get a bit of a nice joint there. This piece has to be glued onto the top of the cowl there and trimmed up here. So the rivets are through, you can see there. Let me see if I can get a bit closer. Okay, so there is one of the rivets. You notice the paint's a little bit knocked around there. I'll touch it up, but it's not too bad. So there are 3 in there. They're turned over. I bent those over just with a little tiny hammer and punch and a dolly on the other side to support them. These are the tricky ones in here, because that one is sort of underneath, and this end one here hasn't got a washer on it because it was too difficult to get one on, so that's just bent over the steel, but I think that'll be fine. So there we are, that fits on there quite well. It's really not that hard to do, I have to say. Just take your time, just go slowly is really the secret for this. So the next step is to fold this over on the front there and trim underneath, and put a screw through here so that it holds on, and then glue this onto the cowl. And we also have to trim up, I don't know whether it shows up or not, but it is slightly wider here than the body. See that little bit there? So we just have to trim that up as well. But that's probably about 10-15 minutes work to rivet that in place. And there it is. So that, you can see how that is folded over there. Now I cheated this time on this side and put in a pop rivet, but that folds over there and closes off the end. Those holes that are there, these 3 holes here, are just for the location points for the dash mounting screws. This is stuck in place, and for sticking rubber I use good old super glue, which is fantastic and really bonds rubber very well. So when this is fitted in place like that, what we have there is a nice neat edge, and it doesn't interfere with the door. Fits up there beautifully. This little area here probably needs trimming, but I'm going to wait till I put the windscreen in to do that. So there we are. That is the fitting of a seal, which is, you know, purportedly supposed to be extremely difficult, and it's not that I'm particularly clever, but it really wasn't that hard to fit.